7 o'clock, contrary to the clock here in the meeting room. But I call the September 15th, 2015 Saline County Commission public.
Commissioner Guile? Here. Commissioner Price? Here. Commissioner Larson?
Here.
And Commissioner Smith? Here.
I ask you all to join me in the flag salute in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just as a note to start with, make sure that everybody has their cell phones turned on silent, and we'll now turn to the public forum. It's a time for citizens to speak on county government, usually limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to come forward at this time?
Ray Hruska, 235 North Santa Fe. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We just got done reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. What does the Pledge of Allegiance mean? It starts off with I pledge. A pledge is a promise. So when you pledge something, you are promising to do something. Allegiance means loyalty. When you are a good friend of someone, you are being loyal. You don't say bad things about them. You're always nice to them. To the flag. The flag is a symbol of our country. When saying the Pledge of Allegiance, you typically face the flag and salute or place your hand over your heart and show how serious you are. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. This means that you promise to be a good friend of your country, the USA. And to the republic. A republic is a place where people get to vote and make choices about leaders and what rules everyone should follow. People are free to agree or disagree, and it is okay to be different. The United States is this type of place. For which it stands. The flag of the United States is a symbol for this type of place, our country. One nation. The United States, though it has 50 states, works together to be stronger. Under God, for those who say this phrase in the pledge, some don't, God may mean different things to different people. There are many different people who have different beliefs in our country. The phrase is intended to show that a higher power blessed or looks positively toward the type of place the United States is. Indivisible. Divisible means being able to divide, such as when you cut an apple in two. Adding the prefix in means not. So individual means not to be able to be divided. This is just like our country. Our country cannot be separated. Our country is strong and cannot be broken up for any reason. With liberty. Liberty means freedom. In the United States, we're able to make choices and do what we want. We do not have to be like everyone else. And justice. Justice means fairness. The country does its best to ensure everything is fair for all people and nobody is favored over the other. For all. That means for everyone. So the Pledge of Allegiance can be summed up by saying, the flag is a symbol of our country, the United States of America, which is a place where we can make choices, vote, and it's okay to be different. This is a country where a higher power thinks we are a good country. If you believe in a higher power, our country will always be together and strong because of that. Our country makes sure people are free and people are treated fairly. I promise to be a good and loyal friend to this country, the United States of America.
All right.
And thank you for the little bit extra time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else who would like to come forward at this time? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the Commission for regular business. Item number 1.
It's a request for action 172-15, a bid award of demolition and cleanup of 1849 West North Street.
Mr. Neal.
Morning, Commissioners. We did a quick briefing on this earlier, but you have in front of you the contract to award the contract.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, probably need to make a motion there
Yes,
first.
before Mr. Neal gives a report. Mr. Chairman, I move that we remove RFA number 172-15 bid award from the table, as we had postponed it a few weeks ago, and consider it today, on today's agenda for possible action.
Is there a second?
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Right. I'm sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Neal.
sorry.
I apologize. Thank you, Lucy.
The contract was to clear up the metal debris, vehicle parts, and mobile home on the property at 1849 West North Street. We had taken bids starting in June, opened the bids in July, and the county commission had awarded the bid to Auto House Towing in August, but asked for the action for the contract to be delayed until September 8th so that the property owner had a chance to clear it themselves without us having to pay somebody to do it. We're past September 8th. The contract is ready to be signed. Auto House is ready to do the work. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer it.
Questions to staff at this time? Is there any public comment?
Yes. Can I come forward?
Yes, please just state your name and address. You bet.
My name is Charles Jordan. Our address is 543 290 Road, Beloit address. I live just north of the line of Mitchell County and Lincoln County. And I'd like to introduce my wife, Deborah. She's been down there with me. And Mr. Rowdy Bush, she's been lifting iron too. We didn't get down yesterday. I had a cattle problem. I still haven't found my $3,000 bull. I looked all day yesterday for him. We'd have been either done or just very much practically done. I finally found a dolly to move the 2 trailers with, but I've got to talk to Palmer, see if they'll rent it to me, which I think they will because I've dealt with them in the past. There's one storage box behind the building. Oh, still 3 or 4 scoopfuls of iron. We went to lift day before yesterday. Was loading up some stuff, and one piece fell down and broke to pieces. And it was dark, so I had to wait till daylight, and we didn't get down yesterday to get that one picked up and hauled out. And that's where we're at. So that's about all I have.
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yep.
Norman Nile, West Pleasant Hill Road, Saline. Mr. Neal, are you aware there's iron out there that may not be legally assessed to anyone? And if it is moved, we could be looking into federal problems? Do you know what railroad iron is?
I believe, Norman, that you're addressing the commission, not the staff.
Yeah.
I said Mr. Neal.
No, I mean, you can address us.
Okay,
If we have questions of staff, then that's fine. Tell me your concern, because I don't quite understand what you mean.
If that railroad iron is moved, you're in violation of federal law. That's plain and simple.
All right. Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to come back or come forward at this time? Bring it back to the commission for possible action?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we remove the, no, that was removed. This one here's one we want to go to. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the low bid from Auto House Towing in the amount of $1,700 and recommended by staff award the contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a recuse, and so it passes 4-0. Move on to item number 2.
Resolution 15-2174, it's the Saline County Health Department Advisory Board bylaws. And again, we need a motion to remove this from the table.
Mr. Chairman, I move we remove Resolution 15-2174, the Saline County Health Department Advisory Board bylaws from the table for consideration and possible action today as presented.
There's a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0.
Morning, Commissioners. Before you have a request for action to formally accept the bylaws that will establish the Health Department Advisory Council by resolution number 15-2174.
And we have gone over this in study session. And
Several times.
Several times.
Several revisions.
And have received some good input from the public, too, and have made those changes,
Yes.
correct, that we talked about last week?
Yes.
Right. Right. Is there any questions of staff at this time?
I would just like to thank Jason personally for working on this for, it seems, forever. And I know that it wasn't perfect the first time, and you kept coming back, and we kept having questions, and you were very considerate of our opinions and our questions. And if you didn't have the answer, you went back and checked on it. And I think it was a collaboration between you and the commissioners that we finally, and it might not still be perfect. I mean, this is kind of a new thing, so that'll come up, I think, in the future. But for as close as I can see, I think you've done a great job with these bylaws.
Thank you.
And we heard from some of the public, let's get this right the first time. And,
Absolutely.
And, I agree with that. And so I think we're close. I think we're there.
And I believe I asked last week if Michael had looked at this, Mike Montoy.
Yes, I sent it to him. He emailed back with a couple of questions, and that was in reference to the future advertising of positions at the times when it comes open, if we really wanted to go with the paper. And I had emailed him back and said, yes, that we will do a paper ad as well as the social media ads when it comes time for the next election of members, according to the bylaws.
And he approved of everything that he had seen.
To my understanding, yes, because I
Okay.
didn't get any other questions or comments back that there were any issues.
But we also still will be accepting the expression of interest forms, as we've done in the past.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They will,
Right.
even after the appointees are
Right.
completed, then they'll be accepted, kept on file. It'll just be
Correct.
at that time when there's time for a new appointment that we will make a notice of it so that if there's anyone else that is not aware, that we'll be able to put in their expression of interest form.
And should a member not be able to fulfill their term, that happens quite a bit also because of commitments, other commitments, family commitments, they move, job changes, whatever the situation is. I think we'll probably follow that same protocol.
Yes, and that's within the bylaws.
Okay, right.
That section, I thought, left maybe the question of the replacement that comes in midterm to replace somebody. Does that count as a term, or does the term start at the beginning of his next term and he has 2 terms after that? I thought that was still a little ambiguous in the wording.
You mean from the original Board of Health?
Wherever along the line, somebody quits.
Okay.
A replacement is appointed, and he's going to serve the rest of the term of the person he replaces.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that a term, and he gets 1 more, or does he get 2 more after that? I thought that was ambiguous in there.
Mm-hmm. Because if it was his last year and then in a 3-year term, he only got to serve 1 year and then 4 years total then.
Yeah.
I understand what Dave's talking about there.
Mhm.
Do you understand that, Jason?
I understand.
My
The same-
experience with other boards are that it counts as one of their terms because they're fulfilling that term.
Yeah.
Because the same thing is going to happen with the initial terms as expressed in the bylaws, that of those appointed,
Some of them are going to
basically it'll be on lots as far as who will have a 1 year, 2 year, I believe 3 year initial
Right,
term.
right.
In order to stagger the terms.
Right.
Yep, that's right.
Good question, though.
It is a very good question. And Jason, I want to let everybody know that us going to Manhattan was one of the best things that I ever done to get to know you. and to get to know what we were really after as far as did you not catch that there? I mean, at the advisory board and all that, you guys went out in your own room and we stayed in ours. There was a lot of good discussion. I don't know that I've ever been to a board meeting that really done just
Good job of capturing that kind of
It was very good
information.
job. So I do commend you for being a part of that, and I know that I've had comments on it already.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this issue?
Ray Ruska, 235 North Santa Fe. I'm looking, by the way, thank you for your good work on this, Jason. You put a lot of effort in it.
Thank you.
And under Article 4, Section 1, it's labeled meetings. It has all meetings of the Advisory Council shall follow the standard rule of order as outlined in the Kansas Association of Counties County Desk Book and Robert's Rules of Order, 11th edition, and the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The question is, this Kansas Association of Counties County Desk Book is 291 pages long. That covers a gamut of information, somewhat related, but not entirely related to these bylaws.
And Ray, right here is the county desk book.
Well, I've seen what.
Providing for anybody else, but Chapter 7 covers the meeting rules of order that we use as one of the guides.
Well, my question is it, since we're already covering it with Robert's Rules of Order and KOMA, is it actually necessary to include the Kansas Association guidelines in this when it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me? I'm trying to get this right the first time, as the chairman has indicated. I would just like to point that out, that Robert's Rules of Order and the Kansas Open Meeting Act covers these bylaws. And one other minor deal here is at the last sentence in the bylaws, it says the health department coordinator will act as parliamentarian control. I suggest that you eliminate the word control. That's a negative word. I understand that he's going to be the one that makes the decisions, but he's the parliamentarian, and that's already described as that. He's the one that will make that decision. And that's pretty much, there was another part here on Article 8 on records. And the last sentence, it says previous minutes, agendas will be available on the Saline County Health Department website. Now, I was not aware that the health department had a website. Do they have a website?
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Where would it be?
Under Saline County.
Well, it should say that. It shouldn't say just website. It should say Saline County website.
Well, we have an individual website that has all of the health
Oh, you
department
do?
information. Yes, it's been out there
Okay.
for a couple of years now.
And then there's a link on the Saline County website that takes you to the health department.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for pointing that out.
From the very start.
And I just noticed it. It seemed a little unusual, but now that you've explained it, it makes a lot of sense.
We have Facebook and Twitter too, where people can keep up with information.
You tweet?
Uh-oh, Ray.
You
That's
A little over your.
No, Facebook and Twitter is a social organization, and just like MySpace. I mean, get a life.
Thank you for your comments. Is there further public comment on this issue?
Thank you.
Yes. Bring it back to the commission for further conversation or action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the county, I was on the wrong line again. See, Jim, you did that to me. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the Saline County Health Department bylaws as presented and recommended by staff.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Item number 3,
Approval of County Commission minutes for September 8, 2015.
Is there any public comment? Bring it back to the commission for action.
I make a motion that we approve September 8, 2015 as presented.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. I just, as far as other business, I'll talk about the rest of our day. We will meet upstairs shortly for unfinished routine business. It's normally just the commissioners signing papers. We will reconvene back at 1 o'clock in the meeting room upstairs for a short time, and then all 5 commissioners are planning to attend the Commissioners' Regional Meeting of Sharing, the Ottawa County Courthouse Basement Meeting Room on Concord in Minneapolis, and that'll be tonight at 6:30. So because all 5 of us will be there, it'll be an open meeting. And is there any other comments or announcements?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read another quote. This one is from the House Judiciary Committee, March 27th, 1854. And here's what they said. At the time of the adoption of the Constitution and the amendments, the universal sentiment was that Christianity should be encouraged. In this age, there can be no substitute for Christianity. That was the religion of the founders of the Republic, and they expected it to remain the religion of their descendants. House Judiciary Committee Report, March 27th, 1854.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned until 1 o'clock.